Center of Commerce on Kano Spotlight, Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. We'll be doing a sort of a dual feed, whereas we are speaking here. And but just to alert you that the station will also be transmitting directly a live event, the Voice of Women Conference and Awards, the 8th in the series, Achieving Women's Inclusion for a Sustainable Nigeria. Just to say that, but our business on the program this morning is emerging sort of breakthroughs, diplomatic breakthroughs in terms of our relations with the UAE. And our guest is Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. He joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning to you, Uncle Yuri. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Thank you very much. You know, it's out there that there seem to be sort of shall we say, improvements in relations between us and the United Arab Emirates. But I suppose one has to be careful so as not to overstate the case. Might I ask you what exactly, because there are a number of issues that do require squaring off between us and the UAE. What's the sense you have about maybe President Tinubu's administration, his intervention, and what the state of affairs is at the moment between Nigeria and the UAE? Especially as it relates to traveling, air travel.
Yes. Thank you very much. The overview of that, you remember that as at the time the president took over last year, we already had this issue of visa ban. We already had issues of remittances for UAE Airlines with respect to the Emirates, for example.
Yes.
That and Etihad, for example, that usually come to Nigeria because they had their, remittances stuck with the central bank for a while. And of course, that led them to discontinue the flights into the country. And in addition to that, we also had, visa ban related issues, So, of course, the president took over these relations from a very rocky standpoint. But of course, if you're in charge, once you become the president, you inherit both assets and liabilities. And I think that what has happened 2 days ago is a very good development because it basically means that we have restored the relations, especially as it has to do with the resumption of flight schedules into the country. And when I listened to the Minister of Aviation speak on this yesterday, he clearly made it, he clearly emphasized the fact that Nigeria had to review the bilateral air services agreement that they previously had with the UAE. And that is, it's not just the fact that we've opened our airspace to Emirates and, maybe Etihad to start coming in. It's also the fact that certain conditions and certain issues as relate to our own local airlines have also been addressed in that bilateral air services agreement. So that in itself represents a shift, it represents a breakthrough, it represents a win-win situation. So what I expect is that the local operators, for example, Air Peace and the likes, that have got the capacity to fly to the UAE should also have, the same way Emirates landed in Nigeria and have commenced the operation from October 1st this year. I also expect that level of reciprocity, and the minister also mentioned things like code sharing. Code sharing is a situation where you have one or two local airlines combining, to be able to take advantage of, opportunities that are out there. So I believe that a lot of work have gone in. And even when I also take this matter off of transport to visa as well, I also understand that there has been a lot of improvement with respect to, visa issuance to UAE. But I also get the sense that it's still a bit stringent. But in diplomatic circle, whatever you do to me, I do to you. The word is reciprocal. So I think that we've made a lot of improvements in that relations between Nigeria and the UAE.
Well, as I said at the beginning of the program, we'd also be simultaneously broadcasting a live event. It's time for that now. But we continue on this channel with Ambassador Elijah Onyema, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, as we look at President Tinubu's diplomatic shuttle and the UAE breakthrough, meaning that matters are indeed being sorted out. I suppose this, as you have emphasized in your response, it's largely about what is seen between the nations as fairness in the, in especially as it relates to air travel, and you were just speaking about some of our airlines. I wonder, their question has always been not being able to, repatriate, whatever their profits. All of that has been made easier, perhaps?
Yes, clearly, if you followed what the Central Bank of Nigeria has been dealing with since they took over this present administration, they had a huge backlog of foreign exchanges that they had to deal with here. And from all indications, it means that had been settled. And it also means that we've made progress. And if they hadn't succeeded, maybe they wouldn't have been able to resume operations. So it certainly means that those backlogs with respect to remittances and repatriation of their investments of funds that are trapped in Nigeria have been addressed. So obviously, that must have been one of the reasons why they have been able to come back, because they gave a long time. This is about 2 years. For them to come back and start flying again with their first flight after that long break on the 1st of October. So I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard.
Yeah, but apart from, this air travel, which is, I imagine, the real highlight of this news that is gladdening the height of those in the diplomatic community, because it's all about harmonious relations between the countries. If you were to look at relations between the UAE and Nigeria, how would you just give us a capsule of the possibilities in there that we have to be careful to protect?
Well, in this business, every sovereign nation obviously tries to find partners, and I think that what Nigeria have done is to try to find a good partner, with the UAE. This is also one of the first trips that the president embarked on as soon as he became the president. A few issues were misrepresented at the time, but I think that a lot of work have gone in the last 1 year to try to address those issues. The president took over, office when I may even say that the relations between Nigeria and UAE were maybe at all-time low. I'm not quite sure if it's been worse than what it was at the time. Where Nigerians were banned from entering the country, where the airlines were not flying, where our own airlines are also not allowed to go the other way, and quite a lot of other issues. But I think a lot of work have gone into this direction. The visa ban issue, the resumption of flights, investment opportunities. Yes. There was even conversation with respect to having foreign exchange liquidity program, which was supposed to also help Nigeria deal with our own foreign exchanges as well, foreign exchange challenge that we have. But if you ask me, and if you look at the last 1 year, I think that while not even having ambassadors in place, a lot of work seems to be going into this shuttle diplomacy by the president himself.
Exactly.
Trying to see what is possible, trying to work out, how to be able to ameliorate or, really play a key role in trying to find a better working relations at the bilateral level with the United Arab Emirates. And I think that those issues have been addressed. Yes, a lot of Nigerians are still complaining that the issue of visa is a bit, the challenges are stringent. But I mean, the door is open. And in diplomatic relations, what you constantly do is to review. When you agree on issues, you keep on reviewing them to make them better. So whatever the conditions are, we will continue to review the situations to make them better. But I think that we have actually turned the corner. my honest assessment is that we have moved from point A to B in that relations. And that is also the reason why, you can see the flights coming back. But most importantly, what I'd like to also see is the reciprocity. What is in it there for Nigerian local airlines? And I believe that the minister as much, gave out a lot of information yesterday when he was being interviewed by the media. So we want to begin to see the implementation of what is in it for Nigeria, because it's not just enough for Emirates to come here and, fly us to Dubai or fly Nigerians that are traveling to Dubai. What about, and of course, to other destinations? What about Air Peace? What about United Airlines? What about other Nigerian airlines that have got the capacity to fly to other routes? So it has to be reciprocal. And that's why I'm very happy that the Minister of Aviation took it upon himself to be able to review the existing bilateral agreement and then make some updates and make some reviews on them. So we don't have the details now in the public space, but one thing is very clear. We have made progress and we wait to see the details of what has been agreed on, while we also look forward to local operators and Nigerian business people take advantage of this improvement in bilateral relations. Indeed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. George, for holding on, which has been for a quick moment. Good morning to you. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Okuyori. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good morning to the ambassador. Okuyori, in the first place, I keep wondering, each time you bring the ambassador to this program, I keep wondering why he had to leave service so early at a young age. We still need people like this in our...
I don't know that he has left the service. I think he's in between postings. But could you quickly sort that out, Ambassador?
Okay. All right. That's by the way.
No. You brought up something. The ambassador was about to respond, and I'm interested myself.
Thank you very
let
much.
Me listen to him then.
Thank you very much, my brother. I am a political ambassador, and every ambassador, first of all, serves at the pleasure of the president.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Anytime you're being called upon to serve, it's always a privilege, irrespective of your age. So at the moment, I had finished my tenure as an ambassador of Nigeria to Burundi. I've gone back to what I used to do, and should we be called upon at any time, we will also be ready. So it's not a right or privilege or to say that he's old or young. I think what's important is that we have people able and capable to deal with issues.
All right, then. I thank you very much. Thank you for that clarification. Mr. George, I hope you heard it, but please go ahead now.
So I'm happy that he's still on board in English.
He's available, as he has just explained.
Uncle Yori, I am particularly happy the way Festus Keyamo is handling the aviation sector. This is what we expect other ministers to be doing. If you do something to Nigerians and there's no reaction from our own country, we make ourselves to be looked down upon, as important as we are. These countries that we adore, they need us more than we need them. Because the resources in this country, they don't have them. It's just because we are unable to effectively explore our resources and maximize it, we will develop better than them. I don't see any reason why Nigerians should be in other countries and they will maltreat us and get away with it. What Festus is doing is what other ministers should be doing. In fact, the Minister of Foreign Affairs should have been championing things like this. We have local airlines. You saw what it did to British Airways. And at the end of the day, he succeeded. Now you say you must accommodate our local flights at Heathrow Airport. If you don't, we will also ban your own from landing in Lagos or landing in Abuja. You can't land in the two cities at the same time. That's the way to deal with these people. And you can see that they are concurring. We have what it takes to also wield some elements of power because we have the strength. What he is doing is very good. The United Emirates, Air Peace has been struggling to have landing rights in that country. And they are the ones making all the dollars from us. You saw how much the CPM paid to them recently. Can we just be letting them exploit our resources when we should also be getting something from them? This is what I want Mr. President to look into in this era of, what do we call it, reshuffling of cabinet. We need a minister of foreign affairs like the one you are talking to.
Indeed.
Not the one that will just be following the president to everywhere he goes. That's not what the ministry is about. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Okay. Well, I don't know what to add to that. It was an opinion, but one understands it. I don't know. You know, it is so that Mr. President himself, when it comes to these matters, he surely must have had an intervention in all of this. The ministers will sort out the nuts and the bolts, but it is the president that, you know, I suppose the interest that he has shown, and, you know, that must count for quite a bit, won't it, in terms of the resolution of these matter, especially as... Well, okay, please go ahead, sir.
Well, Uncle Yuri, I think it's important that we all know that the president is basically the #1 salesperson for this country. And to that extent, he's also by extent the chief foreign affairs minister. Even though there is actually a foreign affairs minister, the idea of being able to sell your country to the world is primarily one of the responsibilities of Mr. President. And he hasn't actually shied away from that responsibility. And that's why he has actually led from the front foot right from the day he assumed office as the president of the country. If you also look at the focus of what he's done, you know, his shuttle from, you know, first of all to India, to UAE, to Saudi Arabia, to Germany, to China, and all of this when he put them together, engagement with the European Union and so on and so forth. All of this is about trying to sell the country. All of this is about trying to explain to, you know, the international community what your domestic policies are about and the opportunities that are abound. You know, all of this is about improving our security, because I can actually isolate areas of focus for Mr. President in all of his, because I've actually paid attention to his diplomatic shuttle. He's looked at the area of national security, area of boosting the economy and ensuring that there is development. And that's why you see him calling for foreign investors to come into Nigeria. That has given birth to the commitment of about $30 billion that he made. He spoke about in his independence address. Areas of improvement in agriculture, areas of improvement in power, like the Siemens deal and the engagement he had in Germany. Areas, you know, trying to find a way or ways of optimizing the country's oil and gas resources. Areas of also trying to improve transportation and develop efficient transportation mechanisms. And all of this is actually the responsibility of Mr. President, and every other person he has hired is actually an agent trying to do the bidding of Mr. President, but also bringing it home. I think a lot of credit must also be given to the Minister of Aviation, and of course, to an extent, the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well, because some of these engagements are not, as a minister, whatever you know, sector you are in, engagement at bilateral level must always be done in conjunction or in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So they are not aloof in this matter. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also will always play a critical role. In fact, they are actually the melting pot of these engagements. Indeed. You know, because you can't go there and start having meetings. You must have representative from the ministry. Remember, Nigeria have also got an embassy in United Arab Emirates as well. So staff of the embassy there are the ones that are working together. And even when these agreements are signed, it's also the repository of these agreements are also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, because when it comes to implementation, ambassadors will always sit down at the embassies and look at the agreements that have been signed upon and then see how to implement them. So clearly, we will not, you know, just isolate one person. But all of this points towards one thing, and that one thing is to ensure that our negotiators negotiate better at the international level, whether at bilateral level or at multilateral level. I think these are the issues. And we have seen that the Minister of, you know, what has happened in aviation, particularly as it has to do with our relations with UAE. A lot of work have gone in. And I'm happy that...
Ambassador, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. But Sulaiman in Benue has been waiting to join the program. So let me bring Sulaiman onto the program. Good morning, Sulaiman, and thank you for holding on. Simon. Good morning, Simon, and thank you for holding on. Simon.
Yes, good afternoon, Kuyori.
Good morning, sir. Okay, go ahead. You're on air now.
My take on this matter is the diplomatic efforts by Mr. President will not help Nigeria. Will not help Nigeria only in the aviation sector, but also in other areas like agriculture, manufacturing, and other economic policies. So all I want to add is we want to congratulate our president and to encourage him to continue the diplomatic effort that he can be able to turn around the economy of the nation.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Simon, for that. And this goes back, Ambassador, this goes back to what you were saying, that it's like the president is like the chief ambassador of the country, and wherever he shows, clearly he's interested in all things Nigerian, but the extent to which he, what is the word now? Shall we say intervenes or shows that it is important to him, the success of such relations, is surely going to smoothen the path and send indications to the other side that this is something that Nigeria takes importantly. So when Simon brought up the matter about, well, again, the president mustn't spread himself too thin. He does have capable, officials. So I suppose there's going to be that balance. But Mr. President will come in from time to time, as perhaps he has done in this case, to show that this is of the utmost importance to the people of Nigeria.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, everyone that represents the president, both as a minister or as an ambassador, you serve at the pleasure of the president. So,
yes,
as ambassador, for example, if you're posted to a mission, there is clearly a charter, a service charter that details what is expected of you to do, within the period that you are representing Mr. President. So I am just basically saying that. A lot of work have gone into this in the last 1 year, presidents particularly, being at the forefront of it. We will do better. We can always also improve on what it is. But Nigerians are very, they are hoping to be able to get a relief in the local economy, a relief in our relations, and a way that our citizens are treated better. We don't want to continue to get the shorter end of the stick, and that's what I see that is happening, because every agreement that we have entered into, if we need to review them to ensure that we have a good deal, we will have to do that. You don't want situations where, our planes are being seized on the account of what happened there, and you find out that when these things happen, it's not good for the country. It doesn't even give us a good image. But I think that, the focus and the determination and the passion with which the president has gone about this is very encouraging. And we look forward to better engagements in other sectors as well. Remember, I had highlighted areas that the president has been all up and about, trying to explain to the international community and trying to explain to foreign investors as well. Because in trying to drive your foreign policy, you should also be able to explain what is going on at your domestic level. Okay,
let me bring in, I beg your pardon, Ambassador, sorry. Benga in Abuja, thank you for holding on. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning to Ambassador.
Yes.
Mr. Yori, in this discussion, there is something fundamental, foundational that we have not touched. Maybe because it is about finance. When the president floated the Naira, people were against it. They say that brought hardship, something. Naira is now 1,000 something, 600 to $1. They will not look at the gain of it. That if the president have not been able to float the Naira, we would not have been able to pay back the $7 billion trap in Nigeria that made institutions, investors like Emirates from coming to Nigeria again for the past 2 years. All the shopping abroad would not have been possible, would not have been any gain if people's money are still trapped in Nigeria, because you can't trap people's money in Nigeria, invest them in Nigeria, and be looking for another investor. Nobody will come there. And because of that, that's not able to clear the $7 billion that was trapped here. And this one has brought Emirates coming back to Nigeria and other uses of the choices of the president mentally to other countries, encourage investors to want to listen to us. That is very basic in what we have discussed here. And we need to emphasize it for Nigeria to know that if that naira floating has not been possible, that will be pretty difficult for government to clear the $7 billion. And secondly, somebody talk about the Minister of Foreign Affairs that is not doing his work. No, he has done a lot, because he is the one that will go and do the groundwork before the next visit any country. If he's not doing his work, it will be pretty difficult for the president to get audience in other countries. So we need to commend him for his work. I mean, it's not you come to the television station and be talking on to the media that people are doing, you do your work. The results we are getting internationally show that the minister of Foreign.
Sorry, Benga. Okay, but thank you very much for calling in. Did get you. Tell you what, Ambassador, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teachers.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Every second, every minute, every hour and every day, time doesn't just tick away. It's a countdown to political decisions that shape our world.
This country must move.
Imagine the impact these decisions have on our lives. Some are consequential, others may leave us intrigued or baffled.
You will have no better friend and partner than Nigeria.
Step in and feel the frenzy like never before. Join me every weekday for an hour of fact-finding interviews where questions cut to the core.
How would you say your administration has fared in these sectors?
I will dig in to get to the heart of issues, From local politics to global insight, join me as I unearth the power plays, jaw-dropping revelations and the unfiltered truth. This isn't just politics, it's unraveling the stories that matter. Brace yourself for Politics Tonight every weekday at 8 p.m, where every decision echoes along the corridors of our lives. Politics Tonight, only on TVC News.
The Boeing 77300 EK783 departs Dubai at 0945 hours on Wednesday, October 2nd, arriving in Lagos at 1520 hours. The official delegation from Nigeria on board the flight includes the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, the acting NCA DG, the DG NSIB, and leading the delegation from Dubai is the Senior President Commercial Operations Industry Affairs, the Consul General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Dubai, among others.
They say they are back to stay. They are not going anywhere again because I think the suspension hurt both sides. They felt it and we felt it, but now they are back.
The minister emphasizes that the agreement signed with the UAE government includes opportunities for Nigerian local airlines to ply the route, which will ensure high commercial benefits and competitiveness in the market.
The first thing we did when we went to negotiate a new bilateral service agreement was to also secure the route for our local operators. And I'm sure you saw my statement last week. It was one of the major things I stood my ground on. And if you look at the new one, it said to any destinations is to ensure healthy competition, and healthy competition leads to competitive prices for the benefit of the Nigerian people.
With the resumption of operations to Nigeria, this opportunity provides frictionless connectivity to one of Africa's major economic hubs, facilitating global trade and strengthening business ties.
It's not just about the renewed bilateral relations between Dubai and Nigeria that the return of Emirates Airlines is bringing. It also offers a vast option into the key markets such as Hong Kong, India and the United Arab Emirates, with key commodities such as the colonels, the pharmaceuticals, the electronics and what have you, which will aid import and export. Ayomide Ajegbe, TVC News, Lagos.
All right then, so that's a news coverage of the event we're talking about, President Tinubu's diplomatic shuttle and the UAE breakthrough. We also picked up on the Minister of Aviation there talking about the new dawn, so to speak. And our guest, he still is Ambassador Elijah Onyegba, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. And the point was being made by Festus Keyamo there that it's really, and that was the point we sort of departed to break from on, that you were speaking about, Ambassador, which is about there must be something in it for Nigeria too. And that was what Minister Festus Keyamo was underlining there, that it must be a mutually beneficial agreement. And clearly, he particularly emphasized that they are back to stay. They are back to stay. It's like that shows a certain sort of stability. And, the point was made, and I think you were also on it. There are all sorts of commentaries, and I think you were making the point about so many, moving parts in diplomatic issues like this. I don't know, is it diplomatic? Is it business? Is it? But there's so many moving parts, and the ministers coordinate, as Benga in Abuja was saying. I think he was relating to somebody having voiced their opinion on some minister or the other. I think Benga was trying to say that, well, on the other hand, there are aspects to ministerial jobs. Mr. President, of course, you had pointed out, is the chief, well, how did you put it? The chief diplomat, the chief ambassador of the country. He's really interested up and down the line. So that was just the package that went out yesterday on this happy circumstance, shall we say. Things are definitely getting better. as you put it, I like the way you put it, that we've definitely sort of turned the corner on this hitherto difficult situation.
Yes, can I go ahead, Akoto?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see, I like the point Benga was trying to make. He's not the image maker of the government, but I believe that government can do a lot more, especially as it relates with communication, because communication is key. The people you're governing must know what you're doing at every particular point in time. This issue of floating the naira is also part of the challenge that we have today. A lot of people are crying that, dollar has now gone very high as a result of that. All of the importation into the country, is now by itself, there's now inflation as a result of these two major policies, removal of subsidy and the flotation of the naira. But we have also forgotten that for investors to come into your country, one language is about repatriation. If you have ever invested anywhere in the world, if you've ever invested in one state or the other, you want a situation where it will be easy for you to repatriate your investment at any particular point in time. And as at the time when we didn't float the naira last year, as at that time, investors were leaving the country because they had funds that were trapped in the system that they were unable to take. So what we were doing at that time was a situation where we were trying to manage the value of the naira. So we were actually living, if you like, call it a fake life, because that wasn't actually the true reflection of the naira. Some people were also, it created, if you like, call it, middle persons, to come in and then get some, get monies at a lower rate, whereas others are getting at a highly, the differential was just too much. There were just too many rent seekers. So if you knew somebody and then for whatever reason you get your own dollar at 400 naira, people that actually needs the money that are trading in, with China, Chinese partners and Turkish and quite a lot of are getting at a rate that is also higher than yours. So this created a lot of bottlenecks because monies that were also coming, we were spending a whole lot of that to be able to ensure that naira is managed. But the president felt that, let us make it's easy for investors to come into the country. And by, with time, naira should be able to find its fair value, making it easier for anybody that wants money to take his money out of the country to be able to take that. And that became very attractive for the investors. And that is actually one of the reasons why we now freed up some funds that were, that would have hitherto be spent in managing the naira, using it to be able to meet up with our backlog obligation of about $7 billion. And of course, other creative means of being able to clear that backlog and to be able to return us to a state where we are now, that it has, become easier for foreign investors to look at our position and decide to come back into the country. So that in itself, seems to be a very big win for the economy. Yes, it has come at a cost. The cost it came is the cost of inflation. But you see, there are other ways to also look at it. A country that doesn't export or that exports more than it imports will always be a prosperous country. A country that imports more than it exports will always find challenges here and there. So the question is, there are opportunities in these issues of what we are discussing now. The opportunities are there because if we can find a way to diversify the economy and increase our exports, then, the issue of naira to dollar can be turned into a gain as a result of losses and hardship that we are seeing now. So it's about resetting the economy. It's about trying to find opportunities and challenges that we face today. As an economist, I know that the valuation or anytime your currency seems to be losing value against international currencies, what that means is that it has provided opportunity for those people that are into exports to be able to make a lot of money. That is it from economic perspective and economics point of view. So I think that while we face these realities, we must always look at what the benefits are and what opportunities there are and try to focus more on those opportunities, because in every challenge lies tremendous opportunity. And I think that Nigeria's leadership and Nigerians as a whole should be able to look at these benefits. Yes, it has come at a cost. Okay, look at the issue of subsidy, for example. If we didn't remove subsidy, maybe by now...
Ambassador, just as you're about to end, I see you've put a semicolon instead of a full stop. Let me bring in Mazi Okorafor, who has called in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, then. Go ahead, Mazi.
Honestly speaking, you see, the way the country is now is something that Somdi Kanhare must bring his own expert knowledge so that we move. So the situation whereby we sit down one place, that it doesn't make sense. Now, look at the youth now. At least the president are giving them a very nice open place, open book, that they'll be coming on board. So I expect each local government, I expect each state, there's no state that doesn't have youth council. They should sit down among themselves, arrange themselves, and wait for the D-Day. When you come to some states, the youth council themselves, they have already done everything abracadabra. They don't have a genuine constant youth council. I would say when they say they need secretary president from each state under the youth council to come. Now, ask yourself, if within that level, with the youth level, they are behaving that way, when they reach our age, 70s, 60s, how will they be? So it is like, so that's happening. Why is people sit down and continue criticizing, continue cascading? You are being kept in a place to do. Even bring some of them and give a particular job, just a classroom work. 2 days, 3 days, you come and give this. Is that how you are going to go? But you have seen someone who have been operating for the past 30, 40 years. And sometimes they say the youth of today are to do it. Is it possible? If you don't have a foundation, there's no way you can meet up. If you don't have a focus, there's no way you can meet up. If you don't have that what to offer, there's no way. That is why you talk about technology. When they born a day, when they come up a day, it was a gradual process between the students. So that's why if you take record, you see that mature men and women are in the national level in Europe. Not what we are saying here. But here, opportunity are giving so many human beings to participate. You know, that you said before, participate that the way forward. This and Harem was part and parcel of the development. Good morning, Mazi from Average.
Well, thank you very much, Mazi Okarafo. I think what you did was you took the outer rings of the conversation. Thank you very much for that, because specifically we're looking at the shuttle, the president's diplomatic shuttle, and also breakthroughs as regards the UAE case. There are other cases, of course, and as Ambassador Onyagba has said, the floating, actually it was Benga in Abuja who first mooted the idea, but the ambassador has extended it and said that this is exactly, the kind of thing that he's talking about, and then went on to speak about publicizing some of the benefits of, the situation on ground, so that one sort of gets a real picture, just like you talk about real politics, a real picture of what's going on and how, even if it is difficult, where the positives are. Even the president has said to support you, Ambassador. Even the president has said that some of his ministers seem to be media shy, as was put out by Bayo Onanuga, a presidential spokesman as such. So there's more that could be done in this regard, which is another aspect of policy, articulating it so that people know, the governed, know what the issues are, the challenges are, and what is being done to sort of address them. The president tried to do a bit of this in his independence broadcast, as you know, but what you seem to be implying is that it has to be a much more continuous, ongoing affair, right?
Yes, Uncle Yori, you see, the issue is that everyone that is holding a public office must make themselves available to be able to explain to Nigerians what they are doing. We are a nation that is, you can classify as a Ferrari on a stroll. Whatever you're doing at your very little end, you can't be winking in the dark. Everyone must be able to come out and tell Nigerians what they are doing in their very little corner, particularly if you're holding a public office, whether elected or appointed. And I think that that's the point that the president is trying to make. In fact, this morning I listened to, on a particular channel, I listened to the MD of RE, a rural electrification agency. And he gave a very solid breakdown of what the agency is doing. And this is what I expect to be happening across the length and breadth of the sectors that we have here in Nigeria. So even though the focus today is about what we are doing with respect to the president's diplomatic shuttle and international relations, no nation can stand on its own. Remember that this is the biggest black nation on the face of the earth. This is the leader in the continent. This is the leader in the sub-region. So a lot of work has to be done to be able to create that impression that the economy has turned the path and that this is a very good investment destination for investors to be able to come and look at. And that's why some of these policies that appear, very difficult and challenging in the short run, there is always a need to continue to explain to people that there will be light at the end of the tunnel and that this is the path that we are going and that we are point A now, we are point B tomorrow, and so that people can clearly see the pathway to that, prosperous economy and the renewed hope that we are talking about. So a lot of work has been done, and if you look at it, it's also not, we don't have all the resources as well as a nation. We are challenged the quantity of crude oil that we export, which is the major source of our foreign revenues, are not much. So people want $1 to be £1, but we are not exporting anything. People must also understand the relationship between the exchange rate and the exports that you have and the balance of payment and balance of trade issues that we have. And that's why it's always very good for people that occupy public offices not to be media shy, to be out there explaining what they are doing so that Nigerians will know. I think that we are having the wins in international relations. We can do a lot more. There's a need for us to have ambassadors out there doing the bidding of Mr. President. Relationship is always better when you have a representative there, because when they have these communities or these countries have their representative here in Nigeria, it's also reciprocal. The concept of international relations and Geneva Convention is that you're also supposed to have yours over there so that some of these issues and the agreements that have been signed upon can have a map, a roadmap, and people will be following up, on a day-to-day basis. So that, if we, for example, the president signed a couple of agreements in China about 2 or 3 weeks ago in that relations, there is always, provisions when you sign this agreement as to how the implementations will be done. But again, what is important is that Nigerians are, they are looking for results. And it's important that we also begin to showcase where we have made progress, where we have work in progress, and where, we are lagging behind, so that, and the efforts that are being made to ensure that everybody is on the same boat. So it's a difficult.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador. We're going to have to leave it here. As always, appreciate your insights into this matter. And I suppose that, okay, Ambassador, you're back. It froze slightly, I think, on your last sentence, but you're back now. I've just been told that you're back now. And I was going to ask that, I was going to sort of make the point that just as you are saying that it is public servants, ministers inclusive, it's their responsibility and duty to, as the president has said, go out there and talk about what government has been doing. I suppose even the National Orientation Agency itself has its own job in all of this as well, as a sort of a separate part of all of this. So that, because oftentimes the point has been made that how do we look at these things? What's our orientation? I suppose it just occurred to me as you were speaking that the Orientation Agency has its own part in closing in this, right? Okay, I think it might have frozen again, but let me just
yes.
Okay, I think you're back on. Would you like to say something for about a minute or so?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. I was.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I heard you loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
I heard you.
Okay.
I heard you. The point is made clearly, both by the president and by yourself, and even this conversation this morning. A lot of people that have got these responsibilities need to tell us what they are doing. There's no two ways about that. And the truth again is that, yes, we have the National Orientation Agency. It's about our values. It's about communication. It's about also dishing out information with respect to what is in the offering and what government is doing for the people. They are there, but I'm also saying, being very specific, If you're in charge of the foreign policy, let us know what is going on there. If you're in charge of the economy, agriculture, the youth, health, education, we must know what is going on there. And I don't believe that they have been sleeping. A lot of work is going on, but I think that the people, which are the citizens of the country, deserve the right to know what government is doing. We are not, people that are very ungrateful. I'm sure every Nigerian will appreciate when you can explain to him and when they can also see that you're doing that from a...
Oh, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there, but I want to thank you very much. It froze again, but I think it actually froze at the end of a sentence. Thank you very much, Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. Thank you for coming on the program. We've been looking at President Tinubu's diplomatic shuttle and the UAE breakthrough. That is certainly going to, get better and come to a bigger fruition, which is what everybody wants. Okay, that's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folare. Bye-bye for now.